Rene Munoz with the Law Offices of Franco Munoz, answering one of the more common questions that I get, which is, if I get hurt on my way to work, do I have a valid workers' comp case? And while it sounds like a very simple question, it's actually really complex and has a ton of factors that you need to consider before you decide whether or not you have a valid workers' comp case. Typically speaking, most employers are going to argue that since you are on your commute to work, then what is called the coming and going rule would apply. And basically what that stands for, it stands for the idea that if you were injured on your way to work during your commute, then you're not entitled to workers' comp benefits. But there are a ton of exceptions and a bunch of nuances to that rule that you really need to consider when you talk to your attorney. One of the questions that we're going to ask you is, where was your job site? Typically speaking, the coming and going rule would only to apply when you're injured going to a job that's at a fixed location. So the first question that we typically ask is, where is your place of work? Is it in one place or many places? You could argue that if you were on a job that took you many places, the entire area or the entire geographical location of where you went to work is the work site. So even though you were commuting to a different job site, there's an argument that you could make that you were actually on the job at the time, even if you weren't on the clock. That's really important to find out. The next question I'm going to ask you is, were you in a company vehicle or were you in your own private transportation? This is a factor that judges consider to determine whether or not you are entitled to workers' comp benefits if you had an accident while you were on your way to work. Another question they're going to ask is, what is your job duties? Some people are always on the clock. It doesn't matter what time the accident happened. You know, if you're on call, if you constantly have to be at the job or are ready to be at the job, and you go out at 2 a.m., regardless of what the time is that you typically work, then that might be a workers' comp case that you're going to be entitled to. The next question is going to be, where are you going? Was this a place where you were going to hang out with friends? Or was this a job site that you were actually visiting to? What time did the accident happen? Those are all questions that we really want to know. The laws are very nuanced and very specific as to each fact. So one case that might have a similar set of facts still might not be work-related in the eyes of the law. And one fact might change the difference between a workers' comp case that is valid and one that is not. If you have questions about these sort of circumstances, give us a call. We're Franco Munoz. We'd love to hear from you.